It's my camera.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll get started in just a minute. I'm just going to wait for everyone to get on and make sure they're all set to go. If you could put in the chat where you're joining us from, that'd be great. Let me make sure everyone can chat with everybody. Great. I'm in Buffalo today. It's sunny and beautiful, so very lucky, enjoying that. So yeah,
And I'm going to test in the meantime. I'm going to test my screens.
So for those of you who don't know, my name is Marissa. I'm the content marketing manager here at Kangaroo Time. So thank you so much for joining today. We have Jennifer Vazquez with us. She's going to be talking more about her EOS method. So we're very excited to hear all about that and how it can help organize your centers and make management just a little bit easier. But first, I'll share a little bit about Kangaroo Time. So if you're new to our webinars, we are an innovative platform for childcare centers. We designed our platform to optimize and grow your business. And our main goal is to just help you guys in any way that we can. So we always try to provide resources and content like these webinars to make your days just a little bit easier. And we also have a blog if you're looking for some more articles. So I will share that in the chat. Hi, Hamlet. She's from Massachusetts. Thanks for joining us today. So yeah, you will receive a certificate tomorrow in an email. If you have any questions throughout, be sure to use the Q&A feature or the chat. I'll be monitoring those. Your microphone and camera are off. We can't see you or hear you, so you're all set there. And we are recording this, so you'll receive a recording tomorrow in an email as well. So let's get started. Let's welcome Jennifer. So Jennifer actually owned and operated 3 preschools herself, which of course came with stress and management difficulties. So this inspired her to find a solution to help improve her business. So she discovered the EOS method and saw great results in her staff retention, profitability, and her personal life. So now she implements the entrepreneurial operating system to help other entrepreneurs get what they want from their business. So please welcome Jennifer, and she's going to take it away.
Hi, thank you, Marissa. I'm very excited to be here today with the Kangaroo Time community. So I would like to, it's hard to have an interactive session because I don't see the faces, but either way, I want to make it as interactive as possible. I'm going to be asking questions. If you can post your answers in the chat. And that way, you're going to get a whole lot more value. So first, I would like to know, where are you from? If you can just put it in the chat and tell me where you're from. Hi, Vanessa from Kansas. Hi, Shanda from Delaware. Denise from Delaware as well. Hanlett from Massachusetts. Lauren, go Texas. Hi, Tanya, how are you? Glad you were able to join. Tanya is also from my hometown, South Florida. Fantastic. Well, I'm so happy that you're all here. Now I would like just so that I can identify a little bit of who you are, kind of get a feel for the audience. And I would like to know, what is it that you do for your company? If you put it in the chat, are you the owner? Are you the director? Are you the regional director? Are you the person that wears all the hats in your company? So if you can please put it in the chat. Hi, Cheryl from Oregon. Tanya, owner of 2 centers. Denise, center director, welcome. Lauren Fish, operations manager. Cheryl, Director, great. So happy to have you. Norma from Brownsville, daycare coordinator. Okay, so the next thing I would like for to know, if you can also put it in the chat, and then I'm gonna, share the agenda of what we're gonna be covering today. Is have you heard of EOS or the book Traction? Do you know what EOS is? And it's just a yes or no. The book Traction has sold over 1 million copies, and EOS is been implemented. Over 100,000 companies are using EOS tools today because it works. Chanda, I see that you've heard of EOS. That's great. Lauren as well. It's becoming very popular, and especially in the early childhood education space because of how well the system works. Tanya, she's heard it through me. I love you, Tanya. Okay, so now the agenda, what we're going to do today is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about EOS, very quick about its history, a little bit about me. I want to learn a little bit more about you. Remember, I would like to have this as interactive as possible. That way you get much more value. And then I'm going to dive into the EOS tools that you can start using as of tomorrow. So one key takeaway that I would like after this session is I would like for you to find or select the one tool that you can start implementing tomorrow with your leadership team that's going to help you get what you want from your business. And then a quick overview of the proven process of the EOS implementation, how we implement EOS with organizations. So a little bit about EOS and its history. EOS was created by a man by the name of Gino Wickman. He's the author of Traction and a total of 9 books actually in the Traction library. And where EOS came from, when he started creating EOS, he ran his family business, later sold it, but then he realized that there was a void in the small business world with systems, a small business world, of owners or business owners growing their company and then hitting a ceiling where they feel that they have absolutely no growth, they get stuck, and then just going crazy and running the day-to-day of their business, wearing all the hats in their business. So then he did a discovery and he researched a lot of companies that were operating seamlessly and very well. And that's when he began cobbling together the EOS tools. So the EOS tools have been used for a very long time. They're very simple, easy to use. That's a wonderful thing about EOS. And it's going to be used for many, many more. And the power of EOS, more than 150,000 companies are using EOS tools today. Over 20,000 companies have implemented EOS with an implementer, and Gino Wickman, me, and another 650 implementers around the world working with companies. And the reason that I'm giving you these statistics is because EOS really works. So on average, and not every company, some less and some a whole lot more, but on average of the companies that have been that are using EOS and the tools and have implemented EOS properly have had a year-over-year 30% revenue growth year over year. So EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System, and what it gets you good at 3 things: vision, from getting everyone 100% on the same page as to the company's vision, as to where you are and where you're headed. Traction is discipline, using the EOS tools with discipline and accountability throughout everyone in the organization using these tools. And doing so is executing on the tools very well to achieve that vision. And then healthy, having a cohesive, functional, fun-loving team with accountability that just love working together, because most of the time, that's not the situation. So from there goes your leadership team. So does the rest of your organization, where you get to the point where your entire organization is 100% on the same page as to where the company is going and how it's going to get there, executing your company vision very well with discipline and accountability, and working together as a fun, cohesive, loving team that just love to be a part of the organization. So that's a little bit about EOS. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about me. I'm an entrepreneur, a lifelong entrepreneur at a very young age. In 2007, I was working in the real estate industry and I lost it all. I was a single mom. I had no financial help. I would support my parents as well. So failure wasn't an option for me. I had to pivot immediately, and I founded a company with 2 partners where we grew the company to over 30 staff and over 1,000 clients. In less than a year, we had much success, and it was great because we were helping a lot of people, but I always knew that I wanted to work with kids. So in 2012, I went out and I bought my first school. I didn't know anything about it, my first childcare center. And it was fun times. I had a lot of struggles, but I persevered. I did so well that eventually I bought 2 more. And when I had my 3rd school, that's when everything changed for me. I was working 16-hour days, extremely stressed. I was doing financially well, but I was miserable. It was super unsustainable. There was no way I was going to continue living my life that way, or I was going to be able to continue growing. I had no control of the business. The business was running me. Is there anyone here today that feels the same way, where your business is controlling you, that you have absolutely no control? Please feel free to put it in the chat. And don't be ashamed. You're not alone. There's a lot of people that feel the same way, and that's what we call hitting the ceiling. So what happened, there was no accountability in my organization. People didn't own their roles. There was no clear, I wasn't giving clear expectations. There was no vision alignment either. And everything, the vision of the company was all in my head. It wasn't clear to me, nor to my team. Yeah, Shanda. Running, yeah, that's exactly how I felt. My company was running me down to the ground as well, and I felt I was all over the place. And Tanya, I hear you. And there's many of us that are experiencing that today. So not having the clear expectations and alignment, how did I expect my team and my staff to have those clear expectations? I had the processes that I had documented were super complex that no one would look at them. And I lacked a lot of processes as well. Nothing seemed to work. Nothing that I did seemed to work. I would leave conferences with so many ideas. I wanted to go back and implement all those ideas. But then when I came back, everything was so chaotic that I never got a chance to implement all those wonderful tools. Does that resonate with any of you? And I'm sure it does. So I wore many hats in the company and I wasn't letting go. How could I let go if I didn't feel that I had the right team, or I didn't equip my team with the right tools and training so that they can take over some of the things that I was doing and delegate properly? So I knew that something had to change, because if not, I was just going to get sick. So that's when I discovered EOS. And when I discovered EOS, I implemented it and my life completely changed. And yes, it took time because it's a lot of stuff to implement little by little, but it was very simple. My team loved it, but most importantly, I got my life back. My directors had ownership of their centers. They were captains of their own ship, and they had the compass and knew what they had to do and knew where they had to go, and they had the pathway to get there. And they just loved running their centers. I wouldn't visit my centers for months. My enrollment was at an all-time high. My staff turnover decreased from over 60% to about 20%, even during COVID. Even during COVID, that's kind of unheard of. And the staff culture, that I had amazing staff culture throughout the entire organization. My net profit increased 700%. And honestly, I just loved my business again. And the centers operated without me. And I was in a position of growth again, but then I got approached to sell my centers. I was not selling my centers at the time. But they gave me an offer I couldn't refuse, and I had a very successful exit at the end of 2021. But most importantly, I felt that I was leaving my staff and my kids in the best of hands. The private equity firm, which is one of the largest in the nation, we shared the same core values, very similar. They kept all the staff, and recently there was an IG post, Instagram post in July, where one of my centers, all three of my centers won awards. They have this yearly event, but one of my centers won the Southeast regional award for the highest staff retention in the whole Southeast nation. So that made me very happy. And in May, I spoke with my team, my old team. They weren't my team anymore, but they're still family to me. And they told me that they're fully staffed and fully enrolled. And I know that a lot of people are struggling with staffing right now. So EOS changed my life. It's changed my life, the life of my staff. And it's become now my passion, my passion to help other early childhood entrepreneurs, other early childhood education, what I call my peeps. I want them to experience the same success that I did, to get their life back, have more time to enjoy life, more financial success, but also to positively impact their lives, the lives of their staff and their kids. So who wants to experience this? I'm hoping all of you do. So I have a question, and soon I'm going to dive into the tools and start sharing the tools, the EOS tools. But I want you to please type in the chat, and like that I can fine tune this presentation and the tools to tie it into how it can help you with the biggest challenges. But I would like for you to type in the chat, what's your number one business challenge that you're facing today? What's keeping you up at night? So if you can please post that in the chat, it would be great. What's your number one business challenge that you're facing today? Is it lack of staff? Is it high turnover? Is it staff culture? Lack of processes? Okay. Staffing. Yeah, that's a big one for everyone today. Wearing many hats. I hear you, Hamlet. Systems or lack thereof. Yep, I know how you all feel. Trust me, I went through the same exact challenges. Systems, employees, the staff cost, the rise in staff cost. Yep. The staffing cost, being at the same level and not experiencing growth. Yep, I hear you. So now I'm going to go in and dive in a little bit into the tools. Actually, I'm going to do a deep dive into the tools. And I really want you to pay attention to these tools. These tools are all free. They're downloadable at the EOS Worldwide website. And then I'm going to share some information on the website address so you can go and download these tools. So I'm going to start presenting, and if you give me a minute, I might have some technical challenges, but we'll get through it. Okay, so I hope you can all see my screen. So now we're going to dive into the tools section. If you give me 1 second. Okay, so now I'm going to start with your business in the center of the screen. And I'm going to review with you what it looks like with the whole journey on implementing EOS. But EOS is basically.
Can I just stop you for? We just can't see the screen. Sorry. If you want
What
to
is it that you?
again.
Okay, let me give it a try. A second, and I appreciate that. Share my screen. Okay, give me 1 second. How about that?
Yep, all
Can you
good.
see the screen? Fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So now we're going to go into the tool section, and we're going to start with your business in the center of it, or that's how we start with the model. And the model is basically to strengthen the 6 key components of your business. So the first key component of your business, or of any business, is the vision component, is where you are and how you're going to get to, what is it that you want to achieve in your vision? Where's your company going? The next thing, the next key components is your people component, is strengthening the people component and having the right people in the right seats. That's going to help you execute your vision. The next key component is strengthening the data component, is running your business on facts and figures, making decisions based on objective information and data rather than emotions and egos. And when you strengthen the vision component and the people component and the data component, then your issues become very clear, your company becomes very transparent, and your issues start popping out at you. Because many business owners today struggle with many issues at the same time. But what's worse is that the issues are kind of like Band-Aid is put on the issues and they keep on coming back. So the idea is, so once your business becomes crystal clear, and you strengthen your vision, people, and data component, your issues, start popping out at you, and you got to get really good at solving your issues. So I'm going to review 2 tools and disciplines that we use to get you really good at solving them day in, day out on a weekly basis, solving them with your team, because there's no great organization that cannot solve their issues as they arise. When Gino Wickman did that research, that was one of the things that the companies that were running and operating very well and strong and organized with accountability were very good at solving the issues. So the next key component is the process component, is getting all the stuff, the most important stuff in your business done the right way and the best way every time. Makes the business just so much easier to manage. It allows it for growth and more fun to manage as well. The next key component is, and which is the last component, is the traction component. It's basically bringing your vision down to the ground and executing your vision day in, day out, on a weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis, yearly basis, and is executing in the vision with discipline and accountability. And there's no coincidence that vision is at the top of the model and traction is at the bottom, because vision without traction is basically hallucination. So this is the EOS model, and it's strengthening the 6 key components of your business, being vision, people, data, strengthening the issues components, getting all your processes, a handful of core processes documented in a simple manner, followed by all, and traction. This is the EOS model, which stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. And it's basically a way of harmonizing and orchestrating all the moving parts of your business, get it very well organized. And so ultimately, so you can get what you want from your business. And I don't see the chat, Marissa. So if there's any questions that pop up in the chat, if you can please shout them out, that would be great. So thank you. So right now, the goal is to strengthen the 6 key components at 80% or strong. Never perfection, because that's impossible. It's utopia. It just doesn't happen. The idea is to get you, again, 80% strong. And we use this scientific but subjective scale that basically you can see your progress as you strengthen the 6 key components of your business. Most companies that we start working with are 20% strong in the 6 key components of the business, and they're succeeding in spite of themselves. But those are the companies that, like me, wearing many hats, like me before I implemented EOS, just going crazy, the business is running them, and instead of them running the business. So again, this is the EOS model, and it's about strengthening the 6 key components of your business. So I'm going to go a little bit more in depth with the vision component, strengthening this vision component. And strengthening the vision component is about answering 8 questions. And we answer the 8 questions in a 2-page document called the Vision Traction Organizer. And you can see it here on the screen. And you can download this document free from the EOS website. And the first question in the Vision Traction Organizer is, what are your core values? And basically, your core values is, what do you want from the culture of your organization? What kind of behavior do you want to see from your staff? Who do you want to see from even your families that you enroll? So it's the culture of your organization. Then the second question in the VTO is, what's your core focus? What's your sweet spot? Why do you do what you do? And what is it that you do? And the idea is that once you determine your core focus and you fine tune it and crystallize it very well, you always want to be operating within that core focus. The next question is, what's your long-term target? What's your 10-year target? It could be anywhere from 5 to 30 years out, but what's your 10-year target? Once you've determined your core values, core focus, and long-term target, now it's the next question is answering the next question being the marketing strategy is, how are you going to execute that vision? How are you going to execute on that long-term target? So there's 4 parts to the marketing strategy. The first part is, who are you going to talk to? Who do you want as clients? What's your target market, your psychographic, geographic, demographic profile of your perfect customer or of your perfect prospect? Then the next 3 questions is basically, what are you going to say to them? What are you going to say to those prospects? How are you different? If you see the second question is the 3 uniques. How are you different from your competition? Why would someone Why should someone do business with you versus your competitor? What makes you different? What sets you apart? The next question in the VTO is, what's your proven process? And your proven process is basically a one-pager, and it illustrates how you work with your clients from when they become a prospect, or clients or families, right? How do you work with them from the time they become a prospect to a time that they're a happy family and the child has graduated? And the last question in the marketing strategy, the fourth one, is what's your guarantee? And having a guarantee just reduces the fear of adoption of doing business with you. So once you have your core values, core focus, 10-year target, and your marketing strategy clearly articulated and defined, then you can start really breaking it down and making that vision a reality. And it's creating that 3-year picture and what the company's going to look like in 3 years from now. What should it look like 3 years from now in order to achieve that long-term target? And the long-term 10-year target can be anything from you want 5 centers and you want to own the real estate, you want to service 1,000 families per year. It's that one long-term goal as to why you do what you do and what is it that you want to achieve long-term. So then the 3-year picture is starting to make that long-term goal a reality. And it's defining revenues, defining profit margins or profit amounts, dollar amounts. What are you measuring to make sure you're on target with these goals? And what does it look like? So it's a 3-year picture, but it's not a 6-page strategic planning process, which just overcomplicates things. It's just simply to paint a picture, because if you can see in your mind's eye, and everyone in your organization can see in your mind's eye, what the company needs to look like, and you're able to paint that picture, you have much higher chances of getting there and achieving those goals. So this is the vision part of the document. Once you have it clear as to who you are and where you're going and how you're going to execute that vision, the second page is all about the execution. So once you have your 3-year plan clear, it sets you up for 1-year planning. And the same is determined, the same information is future date, revenue, profit, measurables, and 7 goals for the year. If you notice, there's only 7 and not 27, and this is a writer downer in the EOS world. Less is more. If you focus on too many things, then you don't get anything done. So focusing on everything, nothing gets done. So the idea is to stay laser focused on the top 7 things that you need to focus and work on and execute within the next 12 months to make sure that you're on track with your 3-year picture and also your long-term goal. Once you've clearly articulated your 1-year plan, then you move into your quarterly priorities, which we call ROCs. Same information here, revenue, profit, measurables, and 7 bullet points for the company, 3 to 7, less is more. What do we need to prioritize in the next 90 days? What's the most important things that we need to be focused on the next 90 days to make this company move forward and to achieve the long-term goal? And now what the idea is to have 3 to 7 company-wide, and then eventually everyone in the organization to have a minimum of 3 to 7 priorities for the quarter on what they need to focus on. And this does include staff as well, the teaching staff as well. Everyone should know what is the most important thing to achieve in the next quarter. Remember, less is more. So once you have your 1-year plan defined, you know what your top priorities are for the quarter, then the 8th and last question on the VTO is, what are your issues list? Is getting all those issues down on paper getting them out of your head, and there's therapy in that. And then later, in the traction component, I'm going to teach you, or in the issues component, sorry, I'm going to teach you how to start solving those issues in order of priority. Remember when I said all great organizations are really good at solving their issues as they arise. So that's the first tool, which is the VTO. And I went through all this. If you give me a second, I got too excited in talking and I forgot to continue clicking. So the next tool or discipline, we call it shared by all. Basically is making sure that everyone in the entire organization can see that vision and want to be a part of it. And in order to do that and to achieve that, you got to tell them. You got to get everyone in a room, in a virtual room, whatever it is, every 90 days, and share the vision, and to make sure that they breathe it and they help you achieve that vision. And most important, want to be a part of it. That's 100% strong on the vision component. And when I started the EOS process, I didn't know what I wanted. It was all in my head. It was somewhere in there, but it wasn't clear, it wasn't defined. And taking some time to really clearly and define the vision made all the difference in the world. So I wanted to go back and say the types of organizations that EOS works with. And the organizations between 10 and 250 employees, which is the sweet spot, are open-minded. They want to grow, growth-minded as well. And revenue about $1 million and over. And that just says that mainly are open and honest with themselves, want to be open and honest with their team as well, and growth oriented. So going back to the components, the 6 key components, now I'm going to move on to the people component. And in the people component, basically, you need 2 things: right people and the right seats. What's the right structure for your organization? And when I mentioned earlier with the 6 key, with the VTO core values, I'm going to show you how a tool that I use, which was extremely powerful, to determine the right people. Right people basically exhibit the core values, and they fit your culture like a glove. So the tool that we use for that is the People Analyzer. And it's a tool where you can rate the people and yourself to see if they're exhibiting the core values of the company. These are EOS worldwide core values on top. You put the core values on the top, and you basically rate the person plus or minus, meaning that sometimes they exhibit the core value. But this tool is great because it also allows to see where someone is falling short and where they need to work on. So it facilitates the discussion, open and honest discussion with your team on where they're doing great or where they're falling a little short, where they can improve. So if you have a person that has a minus, you know that that person doesn't fit your culture and probably never will. And in cases like that, tough decisions need to be made. But if they're not made, those people are chipping away at your company culture, and they just don't fit your company culture. So I had once a director that I had hired. She was never a director, so I was training her, and I was about to let her go. But when I said, you know what, let me use this tool, and I used the People Analyzer, and she was pluses throughout. She was plus in all my company core values. So that tool showed me that I needed to spend more time in training her and providing her the tools for success. And she ended up being an amazing director. And now she moved to Seattle, Washington, and is doing great over there. So this is the first tool, the People Analyzer, and that's to determine the right people for your organization. The next tool that I'm going to show you is the right seats. What are the seats that you need in your organization? What does your organization need to look like in order to achieve that goal, to achieve your vision? And the tool that we use for that is called the accountability chart. So every company has three fundamental three fundamental functions. We call them functions. Every company has a marketing and sales, where they go out to the marketplace, create demand, and then convert those sales into orders, or in our case, into enrollments. Every company has an operations function on how they deliver the service or the product. And every company has a finance department or function, which is how the controls of all the money flowing in and out of the company. Those are the four major functions and seats most organizations have. And then there's a fourth seat we call the integrator. And the integrator is the seat that it's the glue that holds everything together, and is the seat that makes sure that every other department is executing on their roles, on their goals, and provides that support. And it's not only executing on the goals and the roles, but also executing with accountability and discipline. That's the integrator. So that the idea is to determine what are the right seats for your company, and what are the 5 most important things those seats should be executing on. What are the 5 most important roles? And notice, remember that writer downer that I told you? I said, you got to keep things simple. You can't put 25 roles. It just creates complexity and no one will look at it. It just doesn't, it's not followed. So you want to keep things simple. And here at EOS Worldwide, we just 5 to 7 top level roles, 7 maximum, but no more than 7. So the idea is to define the seats for your organization. And then 50% of the time, 50% of the small businesses have a 5th leadership seat, which is the visionary. The visionary is the person that comes to every meeting with 20,000 ideas, always wants to do new things, like to be at 20,000 feet, doesn't like tough conversations, is very good with culture. The companies that do not have that 5th seat, or the visionary is trapped in the integrator seat, usually experience a lot of 90-day spikes, go to a convention, yes, let's implement, and then they're not able to, because they don't have the time to grow the company or to focus on the vision. They're just mainly in the day-to-day, keeping everything together and making sure that everything else is operating the way it should. And so the idea is to determine also what are the 5 high-level top roles for the integrator and the visionary. And there's a few rules that we have when we're doing structure and accountability chart, but there cannot be 2 people in any one seat, only 1 person per seat. There can be 1 person in 2 different seats. For example, I was the visionary and I managed the finance seat as well. So you can be in 2 seats, but when you're in too many seats, you don't have time to do any function well until it's full capacity, because you're just overextended and wearing too many hats. So something to think about. And this is an accountability chart. Some companies have sales and marketing split into roles. Sometimes finance splits into additional roles as well. But this is what a complete organizational accountability chart looks like. An example. So that's the second tool. Then once you define the tools, the right structure for your organization, then you gotta put the right people in those seats. And who are the right people? Well, The right people obviously they fit your culture like a glove with your core values. And the right seat is that they get the ins and outs of the roles. They have the God-given talent, understands everything about the job, that they want it and want to do it, and that also have the capacity, the proper training, the experience to complete the roles on those seats and execute the roles on those seats with accountability and discipline. So you gotta have the right people, and you gotta have 3 yeses. Otherwise, maybe it's a right person, exhibits your core values, but maybe they're in the wrong seat. And that's okay. If there's another seat available where they get it, want, and have the capacity to do the job, you can plug them into that seat. So this is the accountability chart, the people analyzer with right people, core values, right seat, gets it, wants it, has the capacity to do the job and fulfill the roles in the seat, in the people analyze, in the accountability chart that I showed you before in the few slides before. So there's 2 kinds of people issues. You have the right person, exhibits core values, in the wrong seat, or you have the wrong person that does not exhibit your company culture, but they're really good at their job. And those are 2 people issues. None of them is ever going to work in the long haul. It's probably not working now, but you have to have both. And you're just as strong as the people that you have. Once you have the right people in the right seats, that's when you really start executing on that vision. And that's 100% strong on strengthening the people component of your business. Now we're going to move to the data component. And the data component is basically running your company on facts and figures, making decisions with data rather than with egos, emotions, and subjective reasons. And for that is the first tool that we use is the scorecard. It's a company scorecard. And then the discipline that we use in the company scorecard is your measurables. What activity are you measuring? What is it that you're looking at on a weekly basis to know that your business is running according to plan? So it's having the measurables, setting a weekly goal for those measurables, what needs to occur within every single week to make sure that you're on track to achieving your goals and your vision and your plan. Who's responsible for achieving, for making sure that that goal is achieved on a weekly basis? You can only have 1 person per measurable. Obviously, if you have 3 centers and you have 3 directors, each director, let's say that they have to increase FTE by 1% every week, then each director is responsible for that measurable within their center. Oops. And then collecting the data. Remember when I said that you strengthen the vision component, the people, and the data component, that the issues start popping out at you? This is where you see most of those issues, people not meeting their numbers. It doesn't mean that they're not doing a good job. It means that there's maybe some other issue that needs to be worked out as a team to help that person solve that issue and then be able to achieve their goals. Maybe they're getting a lot of staff callouts, and that's why they're not able to increase the FTE. Maybe there's an issue in the classroom where, yes, you're enrolling 5 children on a weekly basis, but then you have 3 and 4 kids disenrolling every week. There's an issue. So what's the issue? And that's what I meant by issues. The company becomes very transparent and the issues pop out at you. So that's measurable. This is an example that I created just for my ECE peeps on numbers to track on a weekly basis in our world in the childcare space. So how many new leads should be coming in per week? Actually, this was my goal for all 3 of my centers. Actually, it was 10 leads per week per center. That was our goal. How many new leads we were converting to tours? How many of those tours were registering? how many family accounts were past due 1 week. So the red is they're not meeting, the numbers weren't met, and the black, the numbers were met. So this is just an example that I wanted to provide for you. And of course, it's measuring the numbers that is right for your unique organization and for your company. Okay, I had to click 5 times. There we go. So that's scorecard, measurable, and that's strengthening the data component of your business 100% strong. So once you have the vision, people, and data component strong, then we're going to move into issues list. You become very clear on what your issues are and they pop out at you. And in order to do that, you need to maintain an issues list. And then the discipline that we use to solve issues is called IDS, or issues solving track. So IDS stands for identify, discuss, and solve. And most companies, they identify issues, they discuss the heck out of those issues, but rarely move to solve. So I'm going to show you a discipline that we use in EOS to get really good at solving your issues. So you have your issues list, which I mentioned before in the VTO, and you're also capturing additional issues of your scorecard of goals, weekly goals not met. And I wanted to mention one thing about the scorecard. My directors and the regional director as well, they fell in love with the scorecard and they still use it today. And the reason that they love it is because we all know how chaotic it is in our world. It's so busy, so much interruptions constantly, but then we're like, okay, what do I have to do now? And then it's just looking at the scorecard, you know exactly what you need to work on for the week. It also relieves time from the owners, from the supervisors, because they can leave. I would leave my staff alone and we would just meet once a week and we would talk rather than having them call me all day. How do I do this? Or what is it that I got to do? So it saved a lot of time for me, for the regional director, but it also saved so much time for the directors. They had that sense of ownership. They knew what was the most important thing to achieve in their centers on a weekly basis, day in, day out. When there was numbers that were off track, we would meet as a team and we would help each other. And that's when I mentioned the part of being a healthy, cohesive team. So those are the powers of the EOS tools and the difference they made for me. So the issues track, the issue solving track, this is the way it goes. You have your issues list. As a team, as a group, you identify what are the 3 most important issues we need to solve right now, and it's selecting the top 3. Then you go on to first issue. In this case, is Andy in the right seat? And then you identify what the issue is. You dig to the root cause of that issue. What's wrong with Andy that he's struggling in his seat right now? Is it that he doesn't have enough time to fulfill all the roles in his seat? And what is the true root cause of the issue? Then you move on to discuss the issue. And then once you've discussed the issue enough without repeating yourself, you move to solve. That creates usually a 1-week action item for somebody to solve that issue. And that's the accountability piece. Again, knowing what you need to do within the next week. Then once you solve the first issue, you go on to the second issue, you do the same, identify the root cause of that issue, discuss, move to solve, and then you go to the next issue. The idea is to be able to solve about 3, 6, 9, 12 issues on a weekly basis. And remember what I said, you got it. All great organizations are really good at solving their issues as they arise and before they become a much bigger issue. That's when you do the transition of running your business in a proactive manner versus reactive. So that's strengthening the issues component 100% strong. And that's what that looked like. So now I'm going to move to the process component, or lack thereof. I know a lot of us struggle with this component because there's just so much that goes on in our world, in our businesses. But strengthening the process component is getting your handful of core processes documented. Basically what makes your business run, but getting a handful of core processes documented in a very simple manner, and easy to understand. So I'm going to show you how that works. Every company has an HR, how they go out to the marketplace, how they hire, fire, also reward is the processes of the HR. Every company has a marketing and sales process. So marketing, how they go out to the marketplace, how, whether it's social media ads, how do they go out to the marketplace to bring demand for the center? Every company has a sales process, an enrollment process. How are you converting those leads that are coming to your center, and how are you converting them to enrolled families? Every business has a handful of operations process, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, how the business run and how you provide the service once you have the enrolled families. Every business most of the time has customer service, how you keep your customers happy. Every company has an accounting process on how, money flows in and out of the company. So it's determining what are your handful of core processes. And notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's about 7 to 8 processes, not 28. Again, less is more, keeping it simple. And then is documenting and simplifying the way you document the processes, and documenting 20% of the steps that complete 80% of the process. Is documenting only the important steps that completes 80% of the process. Is the 20% that makes the 80% of the business run. And it's not documenting every single step, because if not, you're going to have a 700-page SOP manual that no one's going to ever look at. And then by the time you're done documenting the process, now it's time to update the process again because everything changed. So it's just documenting the 20%, the 20% of the steps. So if this is an example sheet, so you have on the left handful of core processes, table of contents, and then on the right all the processes documented as to who has to do the step, when do they have to complete the step, and what is the step. Those are the bullet points under each major step of the process. And then the next, and it's documenting in a 20-80 approach, which I explained. And then the next discipline that we use is must be followed by all. You must be training your staff appropriately, making sure you're equipping them with the right tools and training, and making sure that you're leading, managing, keeping your staff accountable, making sure that they're following those processes the best and right way each and every time. So the discipline, we call it followed by all. Lead, manage, keep accountable, train, and making sure that they're executing with discipline and accountability. And the idea is to get your whole entire organization following the processes. It makes your company so much funner to run. It makes it easier to operate, it makes it more fun, and it also sets you up for growth as well. And people like having tools and proper training, because most of the time they do want to do a good job. So as leaders, we need to equip them with these tools. And I know in the chat, some of you said you were struggling with the lack of processes, and not having processes just takes away so much time from you. And things are not done the right way and the best way every time as expected. So that's strengthening the process component. And that's 100% strong. And remember, when I told you Later on, I'm going to ask you what key takeaway. I want you to have one key takeaway from this presentation of what you can start implementing tomorrow in your businesses to help you get what you want from your business and achieve your goals. So the last key component is attraction component. And the attraction component is bringing that vision down to the ground and executing very well on that vision every week and every 90 days. So when we talked about the VTO, there was a question, the 7th question in that 2-page document that you can download, and they're free in the EOS Worldwide website. The 7th question is, what are your 90-day top priorities? The most important thing that needs to get done the next 90 days. And those are the rocks. And that creates that 90-day world where you're laser focused on 7 things only. Then you come back after 90 days and then you see how you did, how you executed, if you achieved those priorities, and is setting up for the next 90 days for what's important the next 90 days. That's the 90-day world that we're talking about. But to keep you on track in executing your priorities that you set for 90 days is the weekly level 10 meetings. Very powerful tool that helps equip your staff with the top priorities, knowing what they need to do. It keeps accountability as well. And it saves time because you know what you have to work on. So the idea is to eventually have the whole entire organization doing meetings. Obviously, staff, the teaching staff doesn't have to do weekly meetings. It's more like monthly meetings, but the same agenda should be followed. And this is how it goes. So this is the level 10 meeting agenda. Very structured meeting agenda to have very effective meetings. And it should start on time, end on time, same day, same time every week. This is mainly for the leadership team, but then other departments can have different level 10s as well. But that's usually in the implementation process, that's all taught and explained and advised when it's right to roll it out to other departments. But back to the meeting structure, the first, if you see on the right-hand side, is 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, reporting only. Good news, personal, professional, review the scorecard. It was the goal met or not met. Whatever was not met drops down to the issues list that I mentioned. Rock review, which is the 90-day priorities, on track or off track. Anything off track, drop down to the issues list. Are the customers happy? Are the kids happy? The families? Are the employees happy? Any issues that comes out of here, drop it down. Then there's an inserted small to-do list of what needs, which usually the to-do list is formed after you do the issue solving we talked about, identify, discuss, and solve. That usually creates a to-do action item, 7-day action item. So the to-do list is usually from the week before, complete, not complete, complete, not complete. Okay, so the top part is just reporting only. Any issues that come out of this, drop it down to the issues list. Then you have a full hour of IDSing. Remember the prior slides that I showed you with prioritizing those issues, which ones need to get solved first, the first 3, then the next 3. But the idea is to get you to solve between 3 and 12 issues every week, and you have an hour to do so. Then the last 5 minutes is conclude the meeting, rate the meeting 1 to 10. Hopefully it's a 10, and that's why we call it level 10 meetings. And having a meeting like this with your leadership team really makes the teams very, very healthy and cohesive. That's strengthening the traction component, and that's 100% strong. And EOS again stands for the entrepreneurial operating system, and is strengthening the 6 key components of your business so that you can get what you want from your business live a happy life, have happy staff, happy clients, happy families. So there's a question here in the chat where Lauren says, so we have corporate level and director level. Would they be separate level 10 meetings? Yes, it all depends on what works for your company. But I had the corporate level as well. I had one level 10 meeting with my regional. The level 10 meeting was not an hour and a half. It was 90 minutes. It was less. But the directors, all the center directors with a regional, they would have a different level 10 meeting where they would do most of the issue solving within that meeting. So very quickly, if you can put an answer into the chat as to which one of these 6 key components you struggle with the most. Or who feels which component is their main struggle today? Okay, I see the people component. Do you feel that the tools shared can help you with the people component? Chanda or Hamlet? Do you think you can start using any of those tools immediately? So yes, the tools can be used. The answer is the tool can be used, but we need a culture to change this. And that's why it's very important to have a very clear vision and to know your right core values for your organization, and make sure that everybody in your organization shares those core values. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. So I had one of my core values in my company was to have fun, children first. And there was this one teacher that didn't seem to like kids. And then I went to the director, and for me, children first and fun was, children first was my top core value. And then fun, and there was others, integrity and whatnot. And I told the director, that teacher doesn't like working with kids. She doesn't like kids. She's like, no, maybe she's having a bad day. I'm like, well, it seems like she's having 4 bad days out of 5. I'm like, well, why don't you ask her? She's like, I will. Guess what the answer was? She didn't like it. She asked her, hey, do you like working with children? She said, no, I'm working here because I need a job, but I don't like working with kids. So no matter how good of a teacher she was, if she got it, wanted, had the capacity, but there was no way we were ever gonna be happy with her or satisfied, because she didn't like working with kids. She didn't fit our culture. So that's the strength of knowing your core values. If there's something that's really important, is knowing what your core values, where your company's core values are, and is making all decisions based on those core values. I cannot stress it enough. You should be hiring and putting those core values out there in your hiring ads and attracting the people that you want to attract, and repel the people that you don't want in your organization and don't fit your organization culture. I see here data, making decisions based on data and not emotions. Yeah, without having scorecard or measurables or any guideline, it's hard to make the decisions because you don't have the guideline. So yes, data is, all the components are really very important, but I do know that in our world, we struggle with the vision, people, data, processes. We really struggle with everything. The processes of solving the issues as they arise. So strengthening the 6 key components is very important all around to get what you want from your business. But it starts with vision. And then with people is you got to have the right, you got to know who you are. You got to know what you want from your business and where you're going. And once you know that, you'll know who the right people are and is working really hard to finding those right people. And it's not impossible. There is people out there. You just got to attract them to your company. I mean, we were fully staffed and still are to this day. I remember that once I went to a conference and we needed to hire 5 teachers. And they're like, no, it's hard, it's hard. I'm like, nothing is impossible. We've gotten this far. There's no way you're going to tell me that's impossible. We put some strategies in place. And in that 3-day conference, my team hired 5 teachers, and I was so proud of them. So this stuff really does work. And there's not so many people out there, but there is people out there. And you can grab them just having the right vision, doing, advertising in your job posting, making sure you're putting that vision, making sure you're talking about your core values and standing out, doing things different than everybody else. Rather than, yeah, we're looking for a teacher, preschool teacher. Well, no, we're looking for someone that loves to work with children and that wants to be a part of a family, of a fun team that works together, loves spending time together. I mean, that's what I'm saying, doing things different. All right, so I'm going to move on and I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to talk really quick on the EOS process. But I want you to start thinking about the one key takeaway. I really want you to get value and I really want you to make a difference in your organization. And it's that one key takeaway that I want you to take from this presentation where you feel you can start implementing immediately to make a change. So if you bear with me, I'm going to share my screen again and hopefully not mess up. Okay, Marissa, can you confirm or someone put in the chat if you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Awesome, thank you. So this is how the proven process, remember I talked about in the marketing strategy, having that one-page illustrator proven process. So this is what the EOS proven process works like. Usually anyone that wants to work with an implementer needs to have the 90-minute meeting just to make sure that it's a fit and that the system works for them. The next first full day session, what we call full day meetings, is the focus day, is creating the accountability chart, talking about hitting the ceiling, why companies hit the ceiling and how to break through that ceiling, immediately setting 90-day rocks and priorities in the initial meeting so everyone leaves the meeting laser focused, training on that weekly meeting post, the level 10 meeting, and creating the scorecard. Then there's 2 additional sessions after that, 30 days out. So for example, let's say this is September 1st, October 1st, November 1st, and it's the vision building days. Vision building day 1 and 2, we separate into 2 days because it's just too much. And it's starting to crystallize and really determine the core values of the company, and we do it through a discovery exercise. It's not just, oh, I like this core value. No, it's through a discovery exercise, same with core focus, and really fine-tuning that vision of your organization. And then once that's defined and clearly articulated, so I talked about vision building 1, vision building 2, it is going into the execution mode every 90 days, executing every 90 days on those quarterly priorities, what we call rocks. And by using this process and doing it right, you get a lot of results, as I did. So this is basically the vision building days. And here is the execution. And it's just executing every 90 days with discipline, with accountability, and just meeting those goals, those set goals. So if you want a little bit more information, you can always reach out, and that's fine. Otherwise, I urge you to go to the website, and here's some information. There's free downloadable tools from the EOS Worldwide website. Here's my contact information, or you can scan this QR code if you have any questions. I also, if you want, here's the EOS Worldwide website where you can get tools. There's also an organizational checkup to see where you are and how strong you are in the 6 key components. It's like 5 minutes of questions, and it tells you your percentage of how strong you are with the 6 key components. Here's my email address. So I also take this, and I'm going to leave this for one moment, and then I'm going to stop sharing. So if you want me to take this workshop to your team, let's say you want to start implementing EOS, whether it's with an implementer or not, I deliver this complimentary virtual workshop to leadership teams because, one, I want to deliver the value and the power of EOS, and also, two, to get their buy-in. Usually as an owner or a supervisor, you go back and you say, hey, I want to do all this and implement this. And they usually look at you like, okay, another one, something else, you're driving us crazy. But when the information is provided by, someone else, they're like, yes, this sounds great. And usually that's the way it works with our kids too. And, that was the situation with my staff until, of course, we implemented EOS. So I do offer that workshop, and I'm more than happy to help your staff see the buy-in. And that's it for the EOS tools. So I would like to know if you can please put in the chat, what's that one key takeaway that you're going to just start implementing tomorrow with your team? There's a lot. I know there's a lot, but remember, less is more. Focus on 1 to 2 things the next 90 days, and then you move on from there. Just, make sure that you select the most important thing to work on. And yes, there's a list, but I'm sure the list is very long, but let's start with the first 3 to 7. Awesome. Yeah, focus on first step, vision, and people. Weekly level 10 meetings, that's great. And remember, you can go to the EOS Worldwide website and download these tools.
Yeah, I'll be sure to include that link in the follow-up email in case anyone missed it, and your contact information as well.
Fantastic. So I want you to do a simple exercise with me. Some may find it a little weird and some may not. But I want everybody to close their eyes for a few minutes. And I want you to picture in your mind that you're only doing what you love to do in your business. I want you to visualize that and picture it. So if you can please close your eyes for a minute, I want you to picture 3 things. Please picture yourself doing just what you love to do in your business and not what you don't love to do. And I want you to visualize that for a moment. Then the next thing that I would like for you to visualize is your staff say to you, hey, boss, or hey, whatever they want to call you, visionary, or by name, people will call me by my name. Leave on your conference, go on your vacation, don't worry, we got this. And visualizing hearing that from your team, but also believing it and feeling good about that. And the last thing that I would like for you to visualize is having time for other passions, doing other things that you like to do, other passions, and what would you be doing? Because your business is running well, your business can run without you, your team got it, you've equipped your team and you've trained them properly, you've provided these tools, and now you have time to do other passions. I want you to visualize yourself doing that. So if you can take a moment and really feel it and see it. If I overcame all the challenges that I faced in my business, so can you. And you haven't come this far for nothing. You got this. And you can definitely do it. So I trust you. I'm here to help anyone, answer any questions. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing today. And it's really helping my EOS, my ECE peeps experience the transformation that I experienced in my business. So I'm available. We have, I did a good job staying on time. So we have about 10 minutes and I can answer any questions. I love that, Norma, committing to your goals and staying true and on track and staying focused to those goals.
Yeah, if you have any questions, be sure to put them in the chat or the Q&A, and Jennifer can answer them in the last few minutes here.
I know it's a lot to take in, but I had to basically compress a whole entire book into about an hour and a half. So I know it's a lot. I know it sounds like a lot, but the idea is to start implementing these tools one at a time, practice it, get really good at it before moving on to the next tool or before implementing it throughout the rest of your organization.
Mm-hmm. And if there are no questions, I can still put the EOS website and all your contact information in the follow-up, so you always have a way to reach out afterwards. Oh,
so I have a question, and what tips can I recommend to achieve your goals in your business? So I have two answers for that. One is is creating SMART goals. What I mean by SMART is specific, measurable, meaning you can measure the progress, attainable, realistic, and time bound. So I'll give you an example. I always use the example of weight loss, right? So a SMART goal saying, oh, I want to lose 50 pounds in a week, that's not a SMART goal. It is time bound, it is specific, but it's not attainable and it's not realistic. Now, a SMART goal is, I want to lose 1 pound a week for the next 4 weeks for a total of 4 pounds. And I'm just giving you an example. It's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable and realistic, and it's also time bound. So when creating your goals, is creating them SMART. And you can Google this SMART goals, and I'll give you the definition of the SMART goal. And then taking 10 minutes without interruptions, without noise, without, crying children in the background, just 10 minutes, maybe at home. What do I need to work on in my business in the next 90 days? Create, just brain dump, create that list, and then pick 1 to 3 action items that you're going to laser focus in the next 30, 60, 90 days. Once that's complete, then you go back to your list. There might be new ideas in there, and you do it all over again. And it's working on less is more, keeping it simple, staying laser focused on top priorities, and not too many at a time. And when you start executing on your goals every 3 months, by the end of the year, you're going to be very accomplished, and it's not as stressful, and you're going to you're going to achieve those priorities and those goals, but you're going to do it also very well, not just, rushed. So I hope that answered your question, Hamlet. I hope that helped you a little bit. Any other questions that you would like for me to answer before we wrap this up? You're welcome. and I'm gonna have a sip of water. I try to drink 80 ounces of water a day.
Me too. Definitely helps.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Any final questions?
Well, thank you so much for having me today. I hope you got a lot of value. I hope you take this back to your organization. And you take that one key, you get that one key takeaway that you got from this presentation, and you start implementing it in your business right away. Any help, you know where to reach me. I'm always available for questions. And good luck. Stay focused, everyone. You got this.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. And thank you guys all for joining today. Keep an eye out for the follow-up email. That'll have everything you need. And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.